All right, it's 2 o'clock. We might as well get started. And as I said, I'm glad you're recording, Kevin, because I remember what I said a month ago. So I will call the meeting to order at 2 p.m. I'd like to, first of all, another meeting, another new member, Dave Babinski. Dave, good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I know Dave on a personal level because he's been plowing our driveways for years. So
Except this year.
except this year.
Does he pay you on time?
Yeah, that was no problem. I just had equipment problems, so I didn't.
They haven't had snow either.
Well, luckily it hasn't snowed that much. Last week.
So this is the first time we've had all 5 of our members at the same time. So we will hold election of officers. Anyone would like to volunteer to be president? I don't hear any takers.
I nominate Ron.
I like the one we got, man.
I nominate Ron.
Just so
Okay, Connie?
Okay, good.
I'll
I'll
second Connie's nomination.
There you go.
Any other nominations
4 more years.
4 more years? Yeah.
or something?
It's all.
Something.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Now I guess we need to elect a vice president. Isn't that currently you, Steve? I don't remember.
I thought it was,
Macia?
Macia.
Messiah.
Okay, well, we need to have a nomination for vice president.
I'll nominate.
Keith? Okay, Steve nominates Keith. Are there any other nominations? Before we vote on that, I will tell you we're also going to nominate a secretary. And as I have found out, being a secretary is more involved than just scribbling a few notes, because the city has requirements about posting the agenda with the clerk's office the week before and having the minutes signed and that sort of thing. So there is a little bit more involved than just preparing the notes for the minutes for the following meeting so that they can be approved at the following meeting. So after we get to vice president, then we will get the secretary. But are there any other nominations for vice president? All right. All in favor of naming Keith vice president, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Well, we have 3 members left. Is anybody volunteering for secretary?
I'm gonna decline for anything this year because I'm new.
Yeah.
I gotta figure out what's going on first.
I am too, because I'm so new, I don't know what's going on. And I also serve in that capacity on 2 other boards, so I think I'll pass on that.
We're narrowing it down.
Don't look at me.
By default.
By default, no, I ain't got that kind of time. I wish I could, but
Yeah.
man,
Well, I'll keep doing this for the time being. We'll figure this out, but
okay.
it takes a little, but like you said, Steve, it takes a little more time than I would like, but I find a way to get it done somehow or another. I did the minutes this morning and and the agenda on a Tuesday or something like that. So, all right, we do have a president and vice president. I distributed the meetings from the minutes from the January 10th meeting. We'll take a quick look over them, and I think all of us were here, so.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
If you have a chance to about.
What's that?
Okay. If you want to take a second to look over them, and, okay. All right, if there's no other changes, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved. Public comment. Kevin, do you have a comment?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's, since Joe and George are here, let's start, even though it's under new business, let's move that up on the agenda and have a conversation with them. to be very honest with you guys, the Veterans Commission has stalled a little bit in its first year. We've had some challenges. I was in the hospital twice last year. Steve was in the hospital. We both had all of us have had some, Keith had some other experiences, but they weren't running for public office.
Yeah.
But, and we had a couple of members that dropped off too. We had our liaison to the city council, resigned from the council, moved out of the district, and we had 2 of our members resign. So we've had some changes as well, but our attempt is to get back on track. And one of the things that was suggested to us, well, first of all, I think, Joe, one of the things you mentioned when you were here last year was trying to assemble a list of Michigan City veterans, or LaPorte County veterans for that matter. And we've made some stabs at that. We've not been as successful as we would like. We found that, I'm sure you found some of it too, to some extent that's easier said than done.
Yeah, it's very difficult.
The local the local veterans organizations have their own members, but some of them share, some of them, I'm not a member of any of those organizations, but I served during the Vietnam era. So there are veterans who, for one reason or another, are not as easily identifiable. We've not given up on it. We're still working on it. One of the things,
To that note, I reached out to Keith and Tanya Durbin. Again, actually over the last month.
Mm-hmm.
And I spoke to Tanya Monday. She was going to have Keith get back to me, but I'm still waiting for a phone call.
Okay. Well,
They say they have a pretty good list.
Great.
Yeah. I'm part of that organization, so.
Are you?
What group is that?
Organization,
Operation
yeah.
What is it?
Operation Serving Heroes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Going into our 3rd year.
I spoke to them back in November, and they said they had a pretty good list.
We've compiled a list over time that we've done different things as far as we did a Christmas stocking drop and so on and so forth for them and so on and so forth. And the ones at the nursing home. Now that doesn't encompass all the ones that are out there in the public.
Yeah.
We have, other than going to, which you probably have the DAV and the Legions and so on and so forth, and request a list of their membership. Most of them, I would assume, are veterans.
Doing some cross-checking and cross-referencing.
Right.
Yeah.
That type of thing.
Dave,
And that may be what we have to do.
since you're a member of that organization, would you see if maybe you can get a list of your organization's members? And that would be a start anyway, because the primary thing that Joe and George asked when they were here last year was to do that, and we have made attempts. It's not like we haven't tried, but as you said, Joe, you sometimes
we
easier said than done.
do have a census that's going to start April 1st.
That's true.
Oh.
But it's probably going to take a while before they accumulate the data. That census will take from April 1st and probably extend 6 months afterward.
Next fall, probably before you get redone.
Yeah,
Right.
but I think maybe we could, not we, but we could take a kind of a cue from them, do our own census. If we can get the funding for mass mailings of hitting the postcard, that's something I said last year too, but if we can get the funding for that and send a postcard to every mailbox that we have here in the county, I bet you that would probably produce the best results and have just tailor-made questions there.
You're talking like a mass mailing, just a general PO, or not PO box, but addresses?
Yeah,
So-
return postcard, that's all.
And we did talk about that too. We went so far as to inquire about, I inquired from the clerk's office, for example, about mass mailings and some of the campaign, people that are involved in political campaigns and so forth. And I also talked to Westville Printing. I'm trying to remember whether I talked to the Beecher or not, but anyway, and then that was prior to, we had a couple of meetings in the summer where we didn't have a quorum. As I said, one of the meetings I was in the hospital. So we had some, like I said, we had some challenges, and we did start that, but we didn't follow up on it. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because that is something we can certainly look into. We'd have to request the city council for funding. And since we are a city organization as opposed to county, I'm not sure exactly, we'd have to sort that out as well, but certainly that will be a start anyway, so that's something we will work on.
Just a small question there. Are you a veteran? And
Yeah.
do you have any knowledge, or do you want to know anything more about being a veteran?
I think I inquired at the post office also. I know I did some research on that. I've got some notes, I'm sure, and I can look at them. But then it kind of bogged down, and again, part of it was we were questioning exactly how. I don't want to say questioning, but we were considering how effective it was going to be, and would people respond to it, and so, or what percentage of veterans don't have a mail address where they can receive and send mail. So,
well, I mean, even if they're living with relatives or something like that, if it went to that mailing address,
it still would get.
They should, pass it on down to them. And,
Right.
But it's certainly worth some further examination anyway.
Yeah, I think that probably would be your best, because there's going to be some veterans organizations, I think there's like 13 or 15 in the county, that may or may not want to provide you with their information.
Membership.
That was my concern.
Because of this new HIPAA law that went into effect years ago.
Privacy.
I'm not even sure if asking the DAV and the American Legions and the VFWs to provide a list would be legal.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
The only, I just had a thought, would be make a presentation for one of their board meetings
yeah,
and see what kind of response you get then. Just ask them to volunteer that.
there
And
are,
again, it's
there
a
are,
legal thing.
yeah, there are a few of them that have monthly newsletters. The one in LaPorte that I was commander of,
Right.
we mailed to every member of the Legion, SAL, and the auxiliary every month until it got cost prohibitive. And even that we got a reduced rate because we had a permit, and it went out as bulk mail. And so then I asked everybody to send in their email address. And then every month I would go in and type up the newsletter and then send it out to the group as a email mail.
Well, that's one of the things I remember is that the postage to do that, both to send them out, and of course if you're going to get them back, you almost have to put postage on the cards, and so the postage cost is going to be significant. But
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember the numbers
The
off the
only
top
way
of
it
my
would
head.
be cheaper is if the city of Michigan City did the mass mailing.
Is there a possibility of grant money for something like that?
You might,
Possible.
It's possible.
yeah, the county council might fund the money to reimburse, say, Michigan City. I'm pretty sure that the new mayor in LaPorte would be all for it, for the LaPorte area. And if you get Michigan City to do their area, then you only have to worry about, Hannah, La Crosse.
Well, see, actually,
Westville.
no, because this is a city board. Mailing
Yeah,
outside the
but
city.
he means if you were able to get
If you want
get
to-
a report
if you
Michigan
want
City,
to
then
find out-
that's all you'd have to worry about is
If you want to find out how many veterans are in the county, or just do you want to find out how many veterans are in Michigan City? If it's only Michigan City, that's a lot smaller mailing.
no question.
Yeah, George and I have a kind of an extensive database for veterans.
Oh, sure.
But those are only those that we come in contact with that we
Yeah.
file claims for.
Yeah.
Or their other claimants, surviving spouses and things of that nature. And every day it seems like you open a newspaper and you see a few more flags in the obits,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a constantly changing dynamic there,
Well, I'm going to ask both of you just kind of update the last year for the Veteran Service Office, but first I'll tell you that we had some discussion last month. I think it was mentioned in the minutes, and I don't remember exactly how it was was developed, but we decided that one of the things we might be able to do as a commission was to create a combination job fair and information fair for veterans. And maybe because of the size of it, maybe not even limit it to veterans throughout the course of the day. For example, maybe have a certain portion of it. The first part is open to veterans only, and then maybe the last hour or so open it to the general public or something like that. We're still working out the general terms, but I did have, and this was late last fall, Congressman Pete Visklowski's office said that they would be happy to help in any way they could, and the Michigan City Chamber said they would be happy to be involved as well. And we talked last month about, and I know that the Blue Chip has been very supportive of veterans issues and organizations and so forth. So we need to think about the size of it too, how big it's going to be, and make sure that you can accommodate people. I mean, there's probably a lot of local veterans organizations that would offer to hold it at their place, but you also have to make sure you have room for not only for the exhibitors but also for the public. And that's kind of what we're thinking about as maybe a major focus this year, is trying to put together an event for veterans, a job fair, and then maybe services like Swanson Center and Keys to Hope and job opportunities and housing opportunities and that sort of thing. So we're still in the conceptual stage. Now that we have 5 members, I said we've changed a couple of our members. That's something we're going to take a look at.
Right. Excuse me, but I might have a shortcut to that also.
Okay.
I believe it's in April. This is the 5th annual job fair that Blue Chip is hosting. Maybe if we could talk to the boat and get them to give us a slotted amount on that times frame, we could make it available to veterans only.
Yeah, I haven't heard nothing on that.
I'll look into
I think they
that.
have.
Well,
Yes.
Work One usually has one every year too. And
Work one.
Work One?
Maybe if we could piggyback on one of those, we could expedite matters.
Yeah.
That would make it a whole lot
Help
easier.
these
Yeah.
veterans.
Sam Rogowski of the Laporte office is one that I talk to all the time. And they get donations, they pass out some clothes, socks and stuff like that. And then they have, what did they have last year? 32 businesses.
Are you talking about the stand down or
The what?
the stand down or job?
Yeah, it's called the Stand Down Job Fair.
Right.
It's in conjunction, both together.
Yes.
And some of the businesses had representatives there because they were hiring.
Correct.
And of course, Work One had their booth.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, you still don't reach nearly enough veterans, though, right?
Absolutely.
No.
I think the best way is to do that.
approximately 9,000 veterans in LaPorte County, and last year I think Sam told me that they had just a little over 300 veterans come through.
And that's not enough.
No, that's not even one. That's just 1%, 1.5%.
I mean, heck, we got more than that in our database.
Yeah,
Right.
sure. Sure.
Would it be more, local group? Would it be better to just advertise it basically as veterans only? I mean, and push that, you know what I'm saying? Blue Chip is, I've been to one of those before,
Yeah.
or several of those, and it's wonderful, it is, but a lot of people are intimidated coming in there, they're not sure what's going on.
Blue Chip, 2, maybe 3 years in a row, did one for, what did they call it?
Breaking down the barriers.
Breaking down the barriers.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were supposed to have it again 2 years ago, and then I heard it was canceled for whatever reason. Maybe they
Because
couldn't get enough.
somebody changed jobs.
Yeah, because
I figured that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
the first one they had, I had a booth there with brochures and whatever, talked to several veterans that came through, and I would say that probably 25% of them were people I knew.
Right.
You know, because of my job for the last 7 years and being a member of 3 or 4 different organizations.
Well, I'm not saying, we shouldn't have our job
I
fair.
understand,
I'm
that's
saying
something we may
we
be
should
able
also
to do.
piggyback off these other ones and,
Absolutely,
get as much help out there as we can.
absolutely.
Yeah, if you have 6 of them this next year,
More the merrier.
chance of,
There you go.
the same ones being there at all 6. They have job fairs all over, the VA does this, all over the state of Indiana.
Yeah.
They're in Marion, Indianapolis, Fort Wayne, Gary, and I've talked to them, I said, why don't you have one in some of these littler communities,
Yeah.
South Bend, they even had one last fall. And, well, they had it 2 or 3 years in a row.
Well,
I
even
went
if,
the 1 year, but
even if the veteran's working a lesser paying job and wants to go to, job fair, find a better paying job,
yeah,
he may not be able to make this one, but he can make the next one.
yeah.
So the more the merrier. Yeah,
The more times you get the word out, the better it is.
exactly.
Does our organization serve Michigan City? I mean, I know we are a Michigan City group, but do we also do the county for this type of stuff?
Well,
Yeah.
the focus of the Michigan City Veterans Commission is
County.
city.
Michigan
That's what I
City.
thought.
Yeah,
That's what I-
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, obviously not, there's gonna be some spillover there, and then that's
Well,
the truth with a
sure.
lot, but our primary focus, by the ordinance is to
City.
try to assist veterans within the city.
But that doesn't mean we can't reach out past the
Oh,
city.
absolutely.
Well, sure, of course.
But then you have the veterans who basically live closer to Michigan City than they do LaPorte, but they have a LaPorte address.
There you go.
So, and I find that all the time, and Joe does too, and I'm trying to get the Michigan City veterans to come to Michigan City, and the ones, and sometimes they just say, well, I can't be there on Thursday or Friday, so they end up having to see Joe on Monday or Tuesday, whatever their day off is.
Right.
But I have even come in on an occasional Saturday, just because a person works Monday through Friday and they can't make it during the week. I have them come in about 10 o'clock Saturday morning and try to do what I can, because they don't want to go to LaPorte, because it's 13 miles.
Cup of coffee and a donut, and they're in there.
Yeah.
Well, my thought was basically that to start out the first year, especially, to get started here, doing it local, we could possibly contact Ivy Tech to see if they would have someplace that we could, because people relate to that, they know.
And on the questionnaire,
Senior center, the senior
it
center.
doesn't have to be, are you a veteran? Or do you know a veteran who lives in the Michigan City area?
Yeah.
And then if they have a brother or a cousin who lives on 500 North, 600 West, whatever, that gets report mail, then they can put that information down.
There you go.
Joe, go ahead.
Well, radio, obviously, I mean, if we need to set a
And
time.
you haven't
and
had Joe
place.
on yet.
And basically just announcing it. I know many
Needs to
people
be.
just listen to the
Yeah.
radio, and that
He's
would
got a
be
face
great.
for
But
that.
I think we need to decide on a place and time and.
Yes.
Soon.
Joe, why don't you update us a little bit on the last year and the Veteran Service Office, the number of people you're seeing and that sort of thing, just some general update on the situation for the past year.
Well, I can't give you any firm figures,
Sure.
obviously, because I didn't know I was gonna be doing this type of a presentation, but suffice it to
Just general
say,
idea.
suffice it to say that business has picked up tremendously. My days are really full. There's many a day where I look at the clock and it's an hour past quitting time already, and I finally figured it out, right?
Yeah.
But, I could tell you that there's a steady rise in the VA expenditures in this county. And with George here in Michigan City part-time, that definitely helps the situation. I'm sure he sees a lot of Michigan City residents too, but it's been very, very busy. It's not, but I guess one of the disturbing things is I'm going to more funerals lately than anything, and I guess that comes with it. The older you get, the more you're gonna see of that, you know.
Yep.
But it's disconcerting to me that, you know, the people that you worked hard for to get them 100% disability, a year later they passed away and didn't have a chance to enjoy that, you know. George and I will be attending another training session at Camp Atterbury in June. You know, those are 3 and 4 day sessions to keep your accreditation. I think between the two of us, we do a good service for the county. I think the
Absolutely.
expenditures that the commissioners spend on the two of us are well worth it.
Well, the problem has been the commissioner, it's been the council.
Yeah, the council
Yeah, the
is,
council has been a little thorn at times, but
not the whole council.
No,
just certain members.
certain members of the council whose name we won't mention, Jeff.
Yeah, but there was a band after him too, right? I don't know, George, what do you got to add?
Yeah, talk a little bit about Michigan City specifically, George, since that's where you were.
I probably get more emails and phone calls than visitors. A lot of times I can answer their questions, and some of them, especially the younger ones, want to do it themselves. The VA has this e-benefits program where they can log in and set up an account, and then they can actually file their own. I know of there's probably only a few of them that use it, because a lot of times they call me and say, hey, you got a minute? I've been trying this e-benefits and it is totally confusing. And so I schedule an appointment and I sit down and do it in my computer, and they say, well, that was a lot easier. And I said, yeah, because I was doing the work.
Yeah.
In fact, I had a gentleman stop by my office just a couple hours ago that he said, I'm going to try it, but you're here every Thursday and Friday in case I need help, right? And I said, yeah. And I wouldn't say that I'm as busy as Joe, because I'm not. I don't think there's been enough word put out to the residents and veterans of Michigan City that they have a place to come in Michigan City. So some days I only see 1 or 2 people, and some days I see 6 to 9 or 10. A lot of them are simple, easy questions. I like to start them out with, if they want to file a claim, give them the paperwork, fill it out as best you can, come back, I'll finish helping you fill it out, because a lot of times they have questions. And if you sit down and try to elicit all the information that they need for an application, especially the pension application, which they just added, a 12-page rider to the 5-page application, and more times than not, out of the 12 pages, I use 1 page
Right.
for the financial stuff. If they don't have stocks or bonds, that's a no. If they're not getting unemployment, they get an 83-year-old guy, he ain't getting no unemployment. So I don't know why the VA said it makes it easier. Well, in a way, I guess it would make it easier for the person who's making the rating decision as to whether they're going to approve it or not, because Joe and I, neither one would file one if they have more than the limit, and they just raised it from $80,000 to $120,600 that you can have in stocks, bonds,
Assets.
IRAs, and all that kind of stuff. So, and if they have more than that, I tell them, I'll give you the paperwork, it'll probably change by the time you come back, but your in-law or your mother or father or aunt or uncle is in a assisted living facility at $3,000 to $5,000 a month. They'll probably chew up that excess in 5 or 6 months. So then, at that time, call me and come back in and then we'll file. Because it's gonna get disapproved. And if they lie to me, the VA checks with IRS and Social Security. I had one person tell me that they only had so much in this and so much in that, and that's what I put down and sent it in. And they got this nice letter saying, upon checking with IRS, we find that you have more than you led us to believe, or something, wording of that. So they denied the claim.
Sure. Once you lie to them, you're.
Well, they bounce the figures off Social Security Administration,
Sure.
also the IRS. Okay,
Right.
so
Sure.
sometimes the income is underreported because, people forget, oh, I got $2 of interest income, okay? And they do it for $2, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And what's really happened over the course of the last couple of years is that the VA has found a way to have the CVSOs do their legwork for them, and then we submit it. It takes up to 3 hours to do a death pension claim. And that's kind of ridiculous. It's all paperwork.
That's why I try to shortcut that time by giving them the paperwork, tell them to look it over, fill it out. And if you have questions, and always bring copies back of your bank statement, any CD, any IRA, and as long as I have it in front of me, they can't lie to me. And and lying to me, they're lying to the VA, and
Oh, yes.
the VA has more capability of checking things than I can. I take their word for it normally,
Sure.
because they say, well, we're positive it's this, and okay.
And most of the time the errors are of omission, not commission.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't think anybody intentionally lies. They just forget about the $40,000 that they stuck in bonds 40 years ago.
Right?
Once you do that, you're in trouble, though. I mean, if you.
Yeah.
Yeah, they quit
Doesn't matter
earning
what-
interest 10 years ago.
Yeah. Connie, if you'll hand this to Joe. What George was referring to was interview show called Community Focus that I do every day at 8:15. And today's guest from Horizon Bank came to the studio, but Tom Dermy was on yesterday. We did it by phone. And Dean Mazzoni, the president of Franciscan Health, on Monday. He's going to do it by phone. So we can do it by phone or in person. But it's just a matter of picking out a date. It's 8:15 to 8:30 after our 8 o'clock local news, and we can talk about veterans issues. So let me know what your schedule will allow, and we'll set something up.
We'll do it.
Good.
And also, guys, if you would, before we part company, let everybody know where they can find you again, how to get a hold of you.
Well, we've tried to keep that secret.
Yeah, well, so did Obama.
We've done a pretty good job.
You're being recorded, Joe, so
That's what we don't want to tell you, because we know it'll be recorded.
Would it help to have an article put in the paper again?
We've had articles before. We've been on the local TV programs before. And, all the reminders, any form of reminder doesn't hurt matters for sure.
Sure.
But I think if we had a controlled environment of the postcard deal, okay? That way we know where we send it, and we know what we're getting back, and we know who didn't send anything back, okay? That's the easiest way from A to B in my estimation. And maybe the commissioners could approach the county council for the funding of that expenditure. Probably wouldn't be more than $1,500 or something like that, I would guess.
Just a general question, because I don't know the answer, so I'm asking. Talking about the mailing and so on and so forth, if you mail it to your address for X amount of cents or whatever it is, or make it a general delivery to residents, does that affect anything on the cost? Anybody know?
Well, the rates on, the postcard rate is what, George, like 24 cents or something like that? I don't remember.
No, it's about 33 or 37 cents.
I haven't looked at it for a while.
So it doesn't matter
But
if
there are both
it's
mail.
your address
if
or it
you-
goes to a resident of that address.
Yeah,
It's
if
gonna be
you,
the same difference.
well,
Okay.
just the resident at any address, I get them all the time,
Yeah.
and a file on my right-hand side. But,
Well, I do know,
because I worked for the post office for 31 years.
I do know,
If you have a permit mailing,
yeah, that's
it
right.
is considerably cheaper, and it doesn't matter if you have the person's name and address or just current resident.
Well, I'm just thinking, the time it would take to do that, where you could just print them all out, general
Yeah, just
resident thereof.
current resident and send 500 to rural Route 5 and 480 to rural Route 6 and
You don't have
city
the-
routes, 1,000 to the PO boxes.
Yeah.
I don't know how many PO boxes Michigan City has, but it's a big bank of PO boxes, because I did route inspections when Ed Dunham was postmaster here back in the day.
That was a
That was a
long
while
time
ago.
ago.
Yeah, I know, but I've been retired 22 years.
Of course, if we get a few thousand back, it's gonna take George a long time to go through this stuff.
No,
I was looking for it.
no, this is the commission's idea, so the commission can schedule more than one meeting a month to go through them. But, yeah,
So are you talking about sending out just postcards
Yes.
that would be the cheapest.
without any kind of return
Well, it'd have to be a
response?
Well,
return.
yeah,
Something.
you have a double postcard
Oh.
where they tear apart or
Okay, all right.
Yeah, you mail one back.
and mail
Alright,
it
so I
back.
was gonna say
Yeah.
it would be kind of fruitless, but.
And,
No,
and then you'd have to have an account at the post office so that when it came back, they would add up 15, 20, 30, 100 today and tell you how much you owed for the return mailing.
So they only charge when it comes back.
Right.
You don't have to stamp both of them when they go out.
Oh, yes.
No, you just put your permit and postage paid by, and it would be the Michigan City Veterans Committee. And I don't know, do you have a PO box or does,
we don't currently, but we can, the city does, or we can establish our own.
yeah, I was gonna say if you establish your own, that way the city clerk, secretary, whoever gets the mail, wouldn't have to go through and say, oh yeah, this is, oh, here, this goes here. And I'm sure they do now for each department, but anyway, my name is George Watkins. I'm the Assistant Veteran Service Officer serving Michigan City on Thursdays and Fridays from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., no lunch. It's at 300 South Washington Street, Michigan City, Indiana, room 112. And don't bring a phone or a gun because the security will not let you in. You can email me at gwatkins@laportecounty.org. Phone number is 219-326-6808, extension 7109. But remember, if you call, I'm only there Thursdays and Fridays, so if you call on Monday, I will not get your message to Thursday. So if you call on Monday, don't look for me to call you back on Tuesday or Wednesday.
What did you say your home phone was?
I don't use that.
Just for clarification now, what are we going to do with this information once we get all these veterans' information? Well, I mean, what is our ultimate goal in having?
Well, I would say that my suggestion would be not only ask them if they're a veteran or know of a veteran in their family. Do you know that there's a veteran service officer serving Michigan City? That way they can't say, well, I get calls all the time and I just heard about your office being there. And I said, well, I've been here 2 years, and it's going in my 3rd year, and Joe was here for, 3 or 4, 5 months before I took over part-time.
So we're alerting them that basically there's an office here now in Michigan City.
Right.
And of course, also Joe's report, but that's what we're trying to accomplish.
We're trying to see if they're eligible for benefits.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That it doesn't help us, it helps them. and it helps the county.
So
in one
we're hoping
fashion
to
or
make
another.
them more aware.
More aware
people
that
more
they
aware.
can
You're
get.
right.
I can't
Right.
tell
Just
you,
help with it.
the biggest reason I hear from veterans who come in my office, and I ask them, why haven't you filed before? Because they would have had eligibility for benefits established a long time ago. And George probably hears the same answer. I don't even have to tell him what it is.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I didn't want to take it away from the veterans who are more deserving, okay?
Yeah.
But that's not the case. You know, I view it as you have a little chit out there with your name on it. If you don't take it, it stays there.
Yeah, they're worried that them taking a benefit for diabetes or ischemic heart disease or lung cancer or prostate cancer or Parkinson's, anything, they don't want to take away from the people who lost limbs, who are
Major problems, yeah. If they feel that even though I've got a problem and so on and so forth, I'm getting by on what I got and so on and so forth.
Right.
I'll take care of myself, take care of the others.
Yeah.
They're not wanting to take away from a brother in arms.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's the consensus of most of the people that I talk to, that I've had several instances, and Joe too, where I talked to a gentleman and it took me 2-3 years before he finally came in the office, and I filed for one gentleman from Hamlet, who lives in LaPorte County, but it has a Hamlet address, and I talked to him at one of his cousin's funerals, because I did funeral detail for years, and I said, well, you served in Vietnam, right? Yeah. I said, is there anything? Well, he says, I just got diagnosed with lung cancer. And I said, well, you need to come in and file so that we can start getting you reimbursed for your pain, suffering. And so he said, yeah, I'll do that one of these days. Well, 2 years later, his daughter-in-law came into my office and said that he thought he might be ready to start applying. He was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer at that time. Took me about 2 weeks to get all the paperwork together to file. Sent it down. 3 months later, she calls me and says, hey, Dad got his first disability check. She called me 2 weeks later and told me he died. And that is the sad part about the ones that are entitled to the benefit and don't want to take it because it might take away from. The VA is part of the United States government system. If they run out of money, they just tell this committee and they give them more. It's not like in the county that you want to spend money and it's unaccountable for.
Right.
And if the government runs out of money, what do?
Print more.
Print more.
Yeah.
It's that easy, right?
Yeah, it's that easy. And that's why we're, what, $32 trillion in debt.
Yeah.
What about your office hours and so forth, Joe?
Well, I'm there at 555 Michigan Avenue, room 105. It's the old Hyler building where you pay taxes. And I'm there from 8 to 4, but I do take a lunch from 12 to 1, usually a lot less time than that,
Yeah.
but Monday through Friday again from 8 to 4.
What do they call?
Didn't ask me that. Phone number is the same as George's. It's 219-326-6808, extension 2216. My email address is jgolek, that's JGOLEC, @laportecounty.org.
Okay, any other questions?
And if you forget or didn't write this information down, you can go to the laportecounty.org website. There's a place that says departments. You highlight departments, you go down to Veteran Services, and it gives both our information.
Outstanding.
We need to get that on our
Very
website
easy.
for our group here.
That's a good idea. Okay. Thanks very much, guys, for coming. Appreciate it.
Where's the pizza and beer you promised, Steve?
It's back at his shop.
Yeah, back at the
Back at your shop?
Yeah.
Oh, you should have told him that. Well, yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you'd have
Pizza's
told us
gonna
it
be-
wasn't gonna be here, we wouldn't have showed up.
The pizza base will be there, but
Yeah.
I dangled a carrot out there, you know.
No, anytime either one of us can get the word out about serving the veterans of LaPorte County, and I say the veterans of LaPorte County, but I have a few from St. Joe County and Porter County that for some reason they want to come see me, so I do not turn anybody away. As long as they're a veteran or a surviving spouse of a veteran, I am there to help them.
Absolutely.
And Joe is too, by the way.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much.
I get Michigan residents, I get Stark County residents.
Yeah.
well, if they'd rather come see you, they must be the Cran Eaters, huh?
Well, I don't know, they,
I
you
think
know,
it's something
it's word of mouth.
personal to do with the person who's in Stark County.
Well, I
There are
think,
people, I'm sure, that I rub the wrong way, that would rather go see Joe or Kevin in St. Joe County. And that's fine, as long as they're getting service from somebody,
That's what matters.
that's the main thing. So, thank you for having us, and have a wonderful afternoon and the rest of your meeting.
Enjoy the weekend, guys.
And happy Valentine's Day to you, gentlemen.
Where's our box of candy if you can't have pizza
I'll
up
talk
here?
about it
Back at the shop.
Yeah.
Back in the shop? Okay.
Very well.
Haven't seen her?
No, I've seen her.
There's two of us.
Later, gentlemen.
All right.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
I meant, I see too much of her.
Is that what, yeah, well, you better have a Valentine's card.
All right, see you guys.
Take care.
Thank you very much. I think we mentioned it last month, but before we adjourn, before we go around the table, we're going to keep the meetings at the second Friday at 2 p.m. in this room. Is there any reason to make any changes in that?
That work for you?
That works for me until sometime in April when I go back to work.
Well, if we need to change it later on, we will.
Right.
Yeah.
Or Thursday, or,
We'll
yeah.
adjust accordingly.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday would be a bad day. Tuesday works out real good after Exchange Club. But whatever.
Yeah, just about right, because you would be out of there just about that time
Yeah.
too, out of there after lunch, so.
Right, so that'd be no problem. But anyway, we'll have to work on it down the road, I guess.
All right, I think we covered the agenda items. Connie, any additional comments?
Yeah, I did some research on doing a job fair and got some really good, ideas off of the web.
Good.
Because it is pretty much, standardized what you need to do. But the suggestion that kept coming forth was basically that you need to, as soon as possible, set a date. Because when you're inviting others, like you're inviting, just say Myers or Walmart, for them to come into and participate, you have to give them a lot of time,
A lot of notice.
because it's
Yeah.
corporate, and they have to okay it through their corporate. So if we're seriously going to do something like this, I think probably it would be a good idea to get a date in our heads so we can already start working towards that. I think it would make it a lot easier for us. We can eliminate a lot that cannot participate as far as companies and so forth. And the next thing is the location. Location is also important because so many places are booked up or you can't get it on the date. So the date and the location has to coordinate pretty much the same time.
Absolutely.
That's why I had asked basically Joe and George about are we servicing with our group? Are we basically servicing primarily the Michigan City area? That's what our group is for.
Exactly.
Yes, ma'am.
Then I think having a job fair in Michigan City would be probably a better thing to do because,
Oh, yeah.
So I'm
Absolutely.
thinking possibly checking the senior center. There's lots of parking there. It's not huge, but they do have some space. I mean, I think most people in Michigan City are very aware of where the senior center is. The next one could possibly be Ivy Tech. I don't know what they might have there.
Abbey Tech has a large dining area in
That's
the
what I
basement.
thought they did, yeah, that's what I thought, and that's someplace that most people know right where that's at too.
And centrally located.
It is, right, yeah, and parking, I don't think would be a problem at all there. And some of the, I had another place, well, those two just come to my mind, but the senior center seems to be someplace that everybody knows, but I think we need to sort of possibly this month, this is February already, I mean, when were we thinking of a fair? In the fall?
I was, conceptually, that's what I was thinking is in the fall, but we haven't discussed that. Again, we wanted to have a full contingent of members before we talked about that, but I was thinking about the fall, yes.
Well, the fall is basically when they hire. I mean, that's when, Myers, Walmart, all those places like there, they certainly hire for part-time for the holidays and that sort of thing. And then usually what they do, if it does work out real well, many times they'll keep the ones that basically work out well for them.
Well, late summer, early fall is when college students are going back also.
Right.
So
right.
there's vacancies.
There's vacancies, that's right, yeah. So I don't know if we should possibly think of September, I don't know, kids are all back in school, I don't know. October might be a little late, I don't.
Is there a certain list of companies that we go to, or?
Well, what we have to do.
Nail that, wouldn't we?
Yeah, we'd have to compile something.
Right. I had put some things together, and of course, my thought, of course, is Walmart, Meijer, Menards, Lowe's. I mean, that's local.
And I think too that since the chamber has volunteered to help us, we certainly could ask the chamber to contact chamber members and see what chamber members would be interested or willing to participate.
I think the schools, the school systems, basically, they always need bus drivers and coming in, for that year there. So I think that would be a good one. The hospital, I mean, anybody that's local here that basically has a large base of needs of hiring people. So anything that basically would be, I'm thinking Al's Grocery, they hire. The hospitals, of course, Franciscan, the city. There's jobs here at the city. I mean, I would think that there would be the younger veterans, could possibly fit into some of those jobs here within the city itself. So there's just a lot that we can tap into. And it would just be a matter of doing a letter. Just a standard letter, sending the letter, requesting that they join us for a job fair and tell them the time, the date, and, the place, of course, and asking them to respond back to us. So here we go again, with another possible mail out. But we might be able to get some grant money for those mail outs, because that is a government program that we're doing. So that's my idea. Do any of the rest of you have any ideas on other?
Well, I know, I retired back in May. I'm bored out of my mind, so I went online and got onto a lot of, not a lot of, but a few job searches.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And every 10 minutes, I'm getting 6 new ones.
I know, yeah.
So there's jobs out there to be had.
Well, there's the
That's
highway
just in the
department,
County.
yeah. There's the highway department, there's like the park department, I noticed the Dunes out there, they were hiring. That's the first time I've ever seen that this year. They were hiring for part-time people out there to, do whatever they do out there.
Well, I'm only looking for part-time, and probably 90% of what I'm getting back are full-time positions.
Right.
So, there's plenty of work.
And the mayor's office just issued last week a press release with dozens of positions for seasonal for the upcoming season. So that doesn't relate directly to this, but the city's going to be doing a lot of hiring.
They're looking for supervisors. I work for the park department and in the summer, and basically they are always crying for supervisors out at the park department. And it's actually it's a great job for you work summer usually pay, I believe the pay, I'm trying to remember if I can remember, it's like $9.30 an hour or something like that for a summer job, it's great, you're out at the beach, hey, what more can you want,
It's an easy job. I was thinking, NIPSCO probably in the summertime, summer help for, college kids and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Get a way to get your foot in the door and, move into a full-time position.
Yeah, I agree with Keith. The jobs are there. It's just a matter, I always feel that, just like we were talking with them, the information is just not there. We're not connecting people to where they know where these jobs are and that there are jobs. And so I think a job fair would be a great thing. I really do. I think, but I would like to focus it primarily on Michigan City, so we can do a really good job with one thing right now, you know what I mean? Yeah, and hopefully it might be something we can do every year then. And that would be our main goal every year, would be to do that job fair.
As a thought, is to where to have it, so on and so forth. What about the school systems with the gyms and stuff like that? Do you have any idea if that's available?
I don't think they'll let us, will they?
Their requirements basically for any organizations are that you basically can get the facility, but there are costs for maintenance, for cleanup, for that sort of thing. So there are some, if you're using a gymnasium, for example, or something like that, the costs can be significant just because
somebody's got to polish the floor and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And that would limit us to a weekend.
Yeah.
Time also.
Nothing else going on now.
Well, and I'd like to see, I'm thinking we probably could really have a nice little job fair, possibly have some representation from some housing, just basically to begin to help these veterans know which way to go. And I know I can get somebody from Centaur Bank to basically instruct them as to how to get a VA loan, things like that. Now, I realize a lot of them don't have jobs, I understand that. But just the knowledge, sometimes they just don't know these things. They just don't know it, And
that's why Joe and George would be an asset back there.
And we would certainly invite them there to introduce them so they can, get to know the people in Michigan City, the people can get to know them. And then I was thinking Al is really good about donating things. We might be able to even have hot dogs and something like that, there, just to make it a very friendly, informative job fair for our citizens here. So
That'd be great.
Yeah.
I appreciate you spending that much time on that. It's that's it. It's going to take time and effort to put it together because it's not an easy task.
No,
There's
it's much easier if you have it structured and you know exactly. I think, and that's why I really think today we should decide on to try to set a date or a tentative date, and then we can start asking around as to what might be available at those times. And figure, well, that probably would be the best thing to do is we don't know where we can have it until we know when.
Where do you want to have it? Do you want to have it as a service organization? The DAV's got a big
Well, that was
hall.
my question. I'm not familiar with space and that sort of thing.
Oh yeah, they got
The DAV has a big building, don't
Yes.
they? Yeah.
They got a big hall.
They're a little bit limited on parking though. That's the one thing with the DAV.
Yeah, parking is a little.
I mean, it's not bad, but it's a little bit. And American Legion has a pretty good, on 20 has a pretty good area as well. So there are some, you're right, there are some service organizations that have.
And then for something like that, they'd be willing to donate.
Well,
I
yeah.
would think so now.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So the American Legion there on 20 is that big one.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You got the squat post, they got a good sized room upstairs.
Is that the one on?
That's the one on Legion Ave.
By Ames Field.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
451.
Yeah, 451. 37 is the one out on the highway. Post 37 is the
that
one on the highway.
Okay.
Out on
It's
20.
451 on Squat Post. Or Ski Out.
And there's lots of parking there also.
Yeah, there's a lot of
451.
two big parking lots plus a street. And actually, you got the old
Dog stand.
Salvation Army
Yeah.
that's gone, there's a lot of room there.
Do they let you rent that out?
Pardon?
Can you rent that out for Salvation Army?
Salvation Army.
Just use the parking lot,
Not
you
use
mean?
the parking.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
That's
you
right.
have it.
I-
You park there to
Alright,
go across the street then.
Yeah, right, okay.
Okay.
Although 451 was, talk about doing a lot of work to the building,
Yeah.
so.
Now, the service organizations basically would let us come in there without too much fees, right? Or, I mean, would we have to
Yeah.
pay?
I know they would
Maybe.
donate it.
Maintenance
They would
fee.
I know, listen, I know they donated if you went to the DAV.
You do? Well,
You got somebody that's on the
We're
board.
going to know something?
You got somebody
you
on
know
the board.
somebody?
Just so happens.
How much space do you?
It's a big hall. They have
Am I
weddings.
thinking the right one? I can't, is that the one by the tracks?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
Street.
yeah, I just don't think.
Over 120, 140, something like that, I think that back room's classified as. So,
Well, that might be our
on
first
a job
choice.
fair situation, I mean, you guys have probably been involved with it before too. We've done a little bit of work ourselves. And people come and go. I mean, you're not gonna have 500 people there at the same
Right.
time.
Walk around the room, talk to some
Yeah,
people.
that's it, if they're interested, they sit down and talk to you, sure, they're gonna take up some space and so on and so forth, but a lot of them are just gonna walk through, pick up flyers and information and stuff like that, and go home and probably throw it away, but they shouldn't take it and then, try to devour it and so whatnot, yeah. But,
Well, if we
Yeah.
just keep our goal and our focus on basically being an information tool for these veterans. So even if they just come in and walk around and they've socialized, even,
Yeah.
I
they see
mean,
their buddy
even,
they haven't seen in X
Right.
amount of years.
exactly, which I think makes them feel comfortable, once they get in with a group of fellows that, they feel comfortable with,
Right.
they're maybe possibly more likely to contact them or.
And it might be somewhat of a psychological incentive too, if it's held at a DAV,
Right.
for example, as
Right.
opposed to holding it
The
at,
senior center.
Yeah.
Yeah,
just because it is a veterans organization, so.
I'm all for that, we can get it.
And the suggestion about maybe mid-September sounds logical too.
Well, going with September, 9/19 is a Saturday. So that also means that 9/12 is a Saturday. And as many of us know, 9/12 has somewhat of a significant value to America following 9/11. So,
Well, that's a couple of Saturdays in a row
right,
after Labor Day, so.
Yeah, the kids are back in school, so we're not
exactly.
too much on that.
Steve, would you be willing to check with DAV and see if they're available either or both of those weekends and
Absolutely.
see what,
You do what, noon to 3 or 9 to 3 or how many?
What dates you?
I don't know, I think we,
9/12, 9/19,
that's a good question, what we
excuse me.
make
Well,
the hour,
Nine,
make
Well,
it.
we'll have to
9/12.
see what
Yeah.
they'll let us,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm thinking,
Want to make it as convenient as possible for,
I don't know, but most veterans now, my husband was up at 6, I mean.
Burning daylight, Pilgrim.
Yeah.
yeah,
I don't know.
and Dave's up by noon, so.
Yeah,
So you make it.
So he gets the afternoon shift.
but first of all, the shoot, you're not gonna know what to do this time. You're gonna
That's true,
have to,
and
Yeah,
maybe
If you open it for 6 hours and you only use it for 2, well, then next time maybe I only go for 3 or whatever.
maybe 10 to 2, so you've got
Yeah.
the morning and early afternoon
I'm like
hours.
93. I mean, what I think's going to happen is if we do have a good group of people, I think basically it's going to turn into a little bit of a social thing too for some of these guys, and so,
Well, in that case, ask the DAV from 9 to 2, and that gives, if they want to socialize for a little while longer,
yeah,
gives them from 2 to 3.
yeah.
So make the,
You're not gonna have
9 to 2.
You're not gonna have a lot of setup time, but you don't wanna start at too early in the morning where you gotta be there at 6 o'clock to set
That's
up.
true.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's
Oh, yeah.
But
But most of the organizations for something like that are not gonna have a lot of setup anyway, I
You know,
wouldn't think, so.
the tables and stuff more like the DAV or somebody will have tables set up, so it's a matter of them to bring their
Well,
information
one
set
thing
up.
about the DAV, I mean, the hall, we could get in that early, but the canteen and don't open until 11:30.
Right,
Yeah. So.
So they could, come in and participate a little bit and then go when it opens at 11:30.
If we have it open to the public, if we have the canteen open to the public, that's no big deal, but it don't open till 11:30.
yeah. So then another thing you have to think too, if you wanted to do the hot dog thing or whatever,
Yeah.
you know, to have snacks or whatever, light food like that, stuff like that, if you prepare it ourselves, or if we have to wait for them to open up so they can prepare it.
Oh, that's a good idea.
But if we start at 9, it's still 11:30 is before the lunch hour, so.
Yeah,
We could maybe just do donuts or something like that,
yeah.
you know, and get those donated.
Well, you could just.
None of us like donuts, so.
You could do coffee and donuts first thing in the morning now.
Yeah. And that
I
would
don't know
really be
if you've ever
sufficient.
done it with you guys and so on and so forth, but last year when we did, Operation Serving Heroes, and we had at the Elks, the girls went around the donut stops, the Dunkin' Donuts and Family Express and stuff like that. I think we had 30 dozens of donuts donated,
Yeah.
you know, so don't, you know,
Yeah.
so the cost
The
of
Alice
front
can
money.
do that too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And they're usually, I find Michigan City they're just really good about, you know, wanting to be a participant
Oh,
for
yeah.
something like this,
Oh, yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
So, yeah, donuts, I think.
Yeah, you could do donuts first thing in the morning and then at noon have hot dogs or
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, or and even if they open up, then they could go do what they wanted to do, but we at least have something there to begin with, yeah.
You know, we can do whatever.
Yeah,
We'll make it work.
yeah,
You know?
that sounds good.
Anything
And then
else?
we'll definitely have Joe and George there.
Yeah. And I could reach out to, you know, Operation Serving Heroes. We do a, what you call explanation table and so on and so
Oh,
forth, looking for
good idea.
membership, how it
Yeah.
works, and then, you know, how it can benefit the, military. But we're doing not only, military, but we're doing police and fire, EMS, first responders, and all that kind of stuff. We've taken that on now to encompass them into what we do for them as far as building ramps or, you know, porch repairs and stuff like that. We don't want to get into home repair,
Yeah,
but it's for accessibility for them to get in and out of their houses where it's all about.
yeah,
But that's again, same thing. We've not really run out of, but we have very few asking for help to do stuff. And myself, I'm operations officer, and I plan on going around to the different fire departments and explaining our program to them and see if they have anybody or they know of anybody and so on and so forth that can take, you know, use our services, I guess you call it, down the road and so on and so forth. Because I don't think that, I mean, there's probably a few that maybe know about it in the back of their head, but the group doesn't know about it. Saying this is the same thing here, we need to get everybody to know about it, get it out there.
that's the key to it. I mean, that is the whole thing right there. I know when my husband Paul was trying to get his benefits for years and years, he just didn't know where to go. He went to the VA in Crown Point, but, you know, they don't know what's going on over here in LaPorte County. You know? And he got hooked up with George, finally, you know, and George helped him tremendously. But that's just it. They don't know where to go. They don't know where the resources are, you know.
That's the biggest thing, yeah.
What is the name of your group? I'm sorry.
Operation Serving Heroes.
And that's a good point too that you just brought up. The five of us are not gonna be able to man a job fair, and take care of everything.
No, of course not.
But between Operation Heroes
Right, yeah.
and your group and the other group, we might be able to pick up a few volunteers
Oh, absolutely.
to help, you know,
Dave, what is your group? Are you GAV?
The wall
wall
game
game.
It's the wall game.
Oh, walking. Okay, I know that one.
Yeah.
Walking.
and the DAB. And the NBR.
But the same thing, his group can set up a table, explain what they do to the
Yeah.
veterans. I mean, you may have a veteran out there that wants to join,
Absolutely.
them or us, or, maybe somebody else will be there too. We'll find other people.
No question.
We've got connections. I'm sure we could get a dozen or more,
Well, my
vendors, if you wanna call them
goal is that we want them to come back next year.
Mhm.
They enjoy it and got so much information and so much help that hopefully they'll want to come back the following year and bring a friend.
Well, my goal is that they walk away employed,
That's a great, yeah, isn't that the truth, yeah.
with a future ahead of them.
Did you remember what you heard about housing and making like that? No, we don't remember that. That'd be a great table to have, housing,
Well, I think that's the Keys to Hope, for example, I think needs to be involved in some fashion or
Right.
another. And there's some in Swanson Center perhaps, and there's, we start thinking about them, we'll come up with some others as well, so. All right, Connie, anything else?
No, I think that's about it. I just felt, after I
I'm glad you did. I'm
went
glad you did.
online, I felt that we,
Yeah,
had to really get
need
it
to start
structured
paying
right
things
now.
down,
It'll fall in place, but right now we need to get it
Yeah,
structured.
yeah.
So you're gonna check on DAV.
Davey, absolutely.
Great.
I'm gonna check with Blue Chip and with Work One about their existing.
Job fairs.
We did find out that, I don't know whether we mentioned at the last meeting that the city and the county do give veterans preferences in hiring.
Right.
Michigan City does, and LaPorte County does as well. Steve, anything more?
Yes, I got one thing. Last year there was some discussion, here in Michigan City, we got a Medal of Honor recipient, Danny Bruce.
Yeah.
And last March 1st was his 50th anniversary of him being KIA. So there was some talk last year about getting March 1st annually Danny Bruce Day here in Michigan City. And I just wondered if we could push that a little bit harder to see if we can get that done. I know it's been brought up to the new mayor. The last mayor that we had, it didn't get pushed hard enough, I don't think, but maybe we can push that a little bit harder.
For March 1st? We're only,
March 1st, if it's this year or next year,
okay.
Do they have to go to the council?
Not necessarily, that would be the easiest way to do it, but
Present it to the council.
to present it to the council. We don't currently have a liaison, and I think I checked with the clerk's office a couple of weeks ago, but I don't think the council meets again on Tuesday. I don't think they've named a liaison to the Veterans Commission
I
yet.
thought they did.
I don't think it plans to.
Well, I think they will, they normally do. I haven't talked to Sean about that, but normally they do, so.
Oh, Candace was.
Yeah, Candace
Not
was,
there
and she's
now.
not there anymore. Yeah, again, that's it. We normally have a liaison.
Yeah.
I'll talk to Sean about that and find out what the plans are, or to Gail in the clerk's office and find out what, because we need to have a liaison. But the easiest way to do would be to have a council member introduce a resolution, which is
Right.
approved by the council. And that'd be the easiest way to accomplish that, so.
I'm sure you got the same list as I did, and there was no appointment to this board.
No.
No.
So again, I've got to, and maybe Sean is not aware that he needs to appoint one, but I'll find out.
That could be true, yeah.
I'll find out. Again, the council meets on Tuesday. Anything else, Steve?
That's it, sir.
Okay, but March 1st is what we're looking for Danny Bruce.
Danny Bruce Day.
Damn, 50 years already.
It'll be 51.
You getting old, bro.
I know. I've been kidding.
I'm not.
Liar.
Yes, sir.
Keith, anything from you?
I'm good.
Okay. Dave?
No, I'm too new on the fence to know anything.
Well, thanks for agreeing to be with us. and
Yeah, Keith
walk
does
on
have
board,
one.
and
Thank you for joining.
Thank you, no
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah,
aboard.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, if there's no other business, this
to
meeting is
adjourn.
adjourned. Okay?
Thank you.
Keith, is there a second for the adjournment?
Second.
Got it.
All in favor?
Yeah.
We are adjourned at 3:14. That's the longest meeting I think we had.